everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Shaneria, and this is Talking Crime. If you are new here, don't forget to join the family by hitting that subscribe button. I mean, come on, why wouldn't you want to watch reaction videos? I'll wait. But let's get started, you guys. Join the family if you are new. Let's get right into this reaction video.
How I got jumped by my own cheer teammates.
I watched that 7-part story, so you don't have to. That's Mayana, and she just got jumped by her own cheerleading squad at Morgan State University. We all know hindsight is 2020. She said that when she looked back on the entire situation, she realized these girls were never actually her friend from the beginning anyway. There was a lot of red flags that she was able to later on notice and recognize. At one point, things between her and these group of girls had gotten so bad, her and her best friend were not only writing down a list of everything that these girls were doing to her, on top of that, she always felt so uncomfortable. She basically had her boyfriend on the phone with her all the time, and he would hear all of the horrible things that they would say to her. It also got really touchy when these girls would try to drag Mayana for having a white boyfriend, and as a black woman, she just felt really uncomfortable with this commentary because she was like, me having a white boyfriend doesn't take away a single thing about me being a black woman. And then also their little comments were just really rude. They would just say things about her stuff, about her. This whole issue is actually surrounded around a boy. What ended up happening was Mayana has a roommate. She just named her roommate. So her roommate is talking to this one particular football player. Come to find out, there's people on the cheerleading squad that are also talking to this boy, right? One of those girls was in Mayana's stunt team. She ends up coming up to her one day after practice and being like, hey, do you know this football player? And she's like, kind of. And she's like, asking her, like, do you know who he talks to? Obviously Mayana knows he talks to her roommate, but she kind of plays dumb and she's like, no, I just know that he's really friendly. Mayana's teammate on the stunt team goes over to Mayana's other little friends in that fun group and asks them like the same questions. They end up offering the information she was looking for, and then vice versa, she offers up information as well. So then they end up getting a text message in the group chat from those two girls that gave up the information saying, hey, meet in the lounge, let's discuss. So they get to the lounge, they spill the tea, and then it comes out later on that Mayana was asked that question first and she didn't say anything, and her roommate's acting like, I don't even care that you found out, like, I don't even care that you didn't come and tell me, like, it's fine. She's acting super nonchalant. While her teammates, though, the names of the teammates that she gave was T, M, J, K, and A. J and A are like the aggressors, right? So once they kind of like spilled the tea, they turn over to Mayana and they say, Mayana, you're weird because when that girl came up to you and asked you about this information, you told her you didn't know anything. And that's like weird.
Because it's none of my business and I want to stay out the drama. That's why.
You to do. And Mayana's looking at them like, so you're upset that I knew information and decided to protect my roommate and not tell this girl that, yeah, like my roommate's talking to this man as well? Like, that's weird, you know? I think what they were...
No, what's weird is y'all in her business. Let the other girl find out on her own so y'all won't be named. Shut up.
Actually upset about was that once she found out that that other girl was dating that football player, that she didn't run back to her roommate and inform her about this. And so they're trying to like all gang up on Mayana, and she's just standing there on the phone with her best friend like, I don't really care what you guys are talking about. She ends up leaving. So after leaving the meeting, she has dinner with her stunt team instead of her little friend group, and I guess that upsets them. Then that same day, her best friend's mom ends up sending her a text message like giving her a little bit of motivation, being like, don't let these girls ever mess with you, kind of thing. I guess she ended up posting that message on her story, and those girls saw that. And mind you, Mayana takes a break from them. She like distanced herself. She's just like, okay, these girls clearly have some issues. Like, there's no reason they should be getting mad at me because I didn't spill the information. So one day, Mayana's walking down the hallway. She runs into the little friend group, and one of them, A, who she doesn't even really talk to that often, is like, hey, we need to talk about this friendship. Like, we need to have another meeting about it. And she's like, well, I have something to do on campus right now. We can do it later. So later on they meet. So the topic of this whole conversation is pretty similar to the first meeting that they had, where they're just attacking Mayana and just being like, do you think that we're jealous of you? Because they saw the text message at this point. So they're like, do you think we're jealous of you? We actually just think that you're a horrible person because you didn't share information. You didn't spill tea when you knew about it, you know? And the roommate is just sitting there. She's not doing anything. During this meeting, it was mostly T going off on her, being like, do you think I'm jealous? Do you think I'm jealous? Like, really being aggressive.
Yeah, you are. You are. I would have been saying it. Yeah. You are. Yeah. Just to make her even more madder. Because, girl, shut up.
Really coming at her, and mind you, Mayana's keeping her cool. She's just sitting there like, are you done yet? T's being so dramatic, she gets up and walks through the door like, I'm leaving, and then ends up not even leaving. So then all of a sudden, T starts saying, you don't like M. You know that you don't like M. And Mayana looks at them and she's like, it's not that I don't like M, it's like, I don't like the way she talks to me. And Mayana's like, I understand why she talks to me crazy. I allowed it one time and then she thought she could do it, over and over again, and she got comfortable. Again, her roommate is just staring there looking at the wall. All of a sudden, she decides that she wants to get smart. So she gets up and she starts yelling at Mayana. And Mayana is like, I'm done being cool. I'm letting off. So she starts going off. You know how her mentality works out. All of a sudden, everybody gets up and starts yelling at Mayana. Like, you shouldn't be yelling at anybody. You can't be angry. Like, you're the one that's in the wrong. Da-da-da-da-da. And at this point, Mayana had enough. She was like, you know what? I don't even have to be here. She grabbed her stuff and left the room. And then right when she was leaving the room, T is going to go and say, yeah, get the hell out. And she's like, girl, I'm already leaving. So the next day at practice, it gets announced that there's going to be a rookie team meeting. Because of the class schedules, they weren't able to meet that same day. So they ended up having the meeting the next day. And she can see that Jay was like physically upset that they couldn't meet that day. And she had like a piece of paper in her hand. The next day, the meeting begins. And at this point, Mayana is like shaking her boots because she's like, what are these people about to talk about? They start the meeting and they're really just talking about how everybody needs to bring a speaker. They can't be trying to practice without speakers. Then they're like, okay, like on to the next topic. Jay gets up and she's like, we don't like how you bumped A at practice. You ignored us at the game. And also we don't like the way that you talk to us. And Mayana is stunned at this point. She's like, okay, well, let me just address every single thing you just said. So she turned over to A and she's like, A, when did I bump you? And she's like, oh, it was like a few days ago during practice. And she's like, well, I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't remember doing that. If I did, I apologize. Then she looked over to everybody else and she was like, when did I not talk to you guys after the game?
Wait, y'all mean to tell me that y'all are in college, not high school, not elementary or middle, and acting very immature, unclassy, and just weird? I thought I was listening to like a high school story. Oh my God.
Talk to you guys after the game. And they're like, oh, the day after we had that meeting in the upstairs and we were asking you about like why you didn't spill the tea. She's like, well, obviously a day after we had like an intense conversation, I'm not gonna be buddy with you guys, but I didn't mean to ignore you. And then she didn't bother kind of addressing the whole like you can talk to me any way you want thing. So even though Mayana apologized at that point, the girls didn't care. Jay and A stand up and they start going in again about Mayana not saying anything about the tea when she found out and not telling her roommate. And they're just like going in and nobody else is talking. The other girls that are involved in the situation are not talking. It's just those two girls, Jay and A, and then Mayana defending herself. The conversation ended up being dragged for so long. They got kicked out of that room. They had to go looking around their campus to find another place to like meet and actually discuss this. Other people are starting to chime in and they don't even have the full picture because they only know the story from the friend group side. Mayana was like looking at the girl that was talking like, girl, when you first came around, you were talking hella mess about your roommate. And so the meeting that was set up to actually kind of like solve the issue really just created a bigger one. Mind you, Jay is getting more and more irritated. She starts threatening Mayana and being like, I'm gonna slap you. The interesting thing about all of this is that Mayana keeps calling her roommate Miss Nonchalant. And true to that name, every time Mayana asks the roommate, like, are you mad at me? Are you cool? Like, how do you feel about the situation? She just keeps saying like, I'm fine. Like the roommate was like, I don't know why the girls are still mad. They'll get over it. It'll be fine. So a family visit for her college came around and she was really excited to have her mom join and everybody else because her mom was really sick at the time. So she was really surprised when her mom actually was able to make it out. They're at the football game. They're watching her cheerlead. I guess other family members of other cheerleaders ended up coming up to her sister and her mom and telling her like, hey, what do you guys think about everything that's going on? And her sister and her mom are looking at her like, we don't know anything about this. Mayana didn't tell us about any of this, drama that's happening. And so after the game, immediately her sister walks up to her and she has like a stink look on her face. And Mayana's like, damn, what's wrong? And her sister walks up. She's like, why didn't you tell me what's going on down here? Like, so they go back to Mayana's dorm room and her sister walks in and her roommate and the mother are there. So Mayana's sister ends up looking over to her and being like, hey, I just want to know, like, what happened between you and my sister? Like, when we left, like, you guys were really tight. Like, what ended up happening? Like, why are you guys letting, Mayana get ganged up on? Mayana's sister also asked, like, why is Mayana's stuff ending up broken or stolen? And then the roommate's going to turn around and be like, well, my stuff is ending up stolen too. Like, it's not just hers. Mayana was having this issue where she would open the door for the friend group and they would come over and they would just like barge past her and they wouldn't say anything. They'd be super rude. And so they also brought that up. The roommate and the mother were like, we address these issues, we talk to them, we're not going to have these issues moving forward. And at that time, Mayana and the roommate both looked at each other and said, we're cool, we actually like each other, like, there's no drama. When Mayana and her sister are leaving for dinner, they end up running into J.A., their mothers and their mother's friends. Her sister seems very straightforward, so she asked them, like, who has a problem with my sister? The only person that was really saying something was A, and A is like, well, if we do have a problem with your sister, what about it? All of a sudden, Jace just starts barking, just starts going off. A and Jay's mother are trying to hold back Jay. Mayana looks over and Jay's mom has her arm on her sister's neck, and she's like, dude, we gotta go, like, they're doing too much. I guess that really pissed off Jay that they were just gonna walk away and not engage with them. So she ends up grabbing the shoes that Mayana's sister came to change in Mayana's dorm room and threw it at Mayana. So then, boom, everybody starts fighting. At this point, Mayana's holding on to Jay. Jay's mom is choking Mayana's sister, and then A is hitting Mayana's sister while she's being chokehold. Mayana also wanted to clarify that her brother never steps in, he never hit on anybody. There was other football players and stuff that got involved at the end of the day. If her brother was swinging on women, don't you think these football players would have went like ham on him? She didn't appreciate that narrative being spread, especially when her brother really did get hit by A and he did not hit back. All this chaos is going around. Mayana looks over and she sees like a familiar face. When she looks closer, her roommate's in it now. Her roommate is swinging too, and she's like, what the hell? Like, where did you even come from? So then Mayana tries to lunge at her roommate, but she's getting socked in the back by the other girls. And then she looks over and she's trying to help her sister at this point because her sister looks like her eye got hurt. While they're trying to check on her eye, the other girls start sneaking her sister. Finally, people come out, they break up the fight, they send these girls in their separate directions. They're grabbing their things off the ground, and all Jay can keep yelling back is like, you're ugly, you're ugly. Like, she had really nothing else to say. Police get called, they go to the dorms to talk to the girls. The roommate and the mother literally try to act like they had nothing to do with it. Like, they didn't even know that that situation happened. Whole time, like, you were in there. And then the roommate ends up saying like, oh, I went in there to break everything up, but then somebody hit me, so then I started fighting. Mayana's mom literally told the police officer, go in there, get everybody's names, addresses, phone numbers, all the information that you need that's necessary. Did Officer Roberts do that? No, he did not. So when Mayana went to the campus police to turn in a report, she didn't have the necessary things. That entire day, Mayana and her family were given the runaround and basically told at the end of the day, like, oh, we can't even help you right now. Mayana and her family did not appreciate how the school, the campus, the police, how anybody, even the coaches and the teams handled this situation. It did not feel like there was going to be a reasonable solution. All they were telling Mayana was like, we can move you to a different housing building, but the housing buildings that they were trying to move her to is connected through a dining room to the housing building that she was just living in, where these girls will still see her and interact with her. So she was like, you know what, my family doesn't feel like I need to stay here, I don't feel that way either. So that same day they rented a car, they packed up all of her stuff, and she left Morgan State. And when she went back for the hearing, after they finally granted her a hearing, mind you, during the hearing, J and A are crying the whole time. They were trying to spin a narrative where they're completely destroying her character and trying to say that Mayana is a bad person, and then also trying to paint this picture that she invited her sister and her brother to come down and handle her stuff. And she's like, no, it was just family week, just like it was for everybody else. They basically were like, yeah, you can't come back to campus, you're banned from campus until August 2025. But the day that she packed up her dorm, she knew she was never going to go back. The fact that this fight started over a boy and her not sharing information is absolutely wild. Honestly, college is supposed to be a really fun, exploratory time. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with such like unnecessary drama. I'm glad you're safe. I hope 2025 is beautiful. I hope whatever God has in store for you is 10 times the fold whatever you would have received at Morgan State University. Morgan State University, do better. Whichever cops you talk to, do better. Thank you guys for tagging me in this. Sorry it took so long to get it out. I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.
No. There should be no excuse for Morgan State. The police officer, none of that. Mayana and her mother and them should have called the police again and pressed charges. Asked for the video where the fight broke out and took their behinds to court. Even Morgan State. Because if you tell me that I can't come back, then everybody that was involved in the fight shouldn't have come back. Make it make sense, Morgan State. Why would one person, one young lady, go around campus and bully all of these other people? Make it make sense. Usually the aggressor and the bully is a person that got a lot of other people behind them. I had to do a quick voiceover because somehow my auto got cut off. You guys, this was a sad situation, and I hope she find peace in this whole situation. She did not need to go back to Morgan State anyway. You guys, don't forget to like, comment, and definitely subscribe. Peace.